Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast. I'm Young Gruff, and as always, I'm joined by Lachlan.
On episode 215, Palme d'Or and Oscar buzz film Anora is finally getting its global release, and I've finally caught it, and let me just say, I think I get what all the buzz is about. Ewan saw it at Cannes, I saw it at home, two different environments, two different viewing experiences. Do we both agree with all of the positive vibes that this film has been getting on Letterboxd? We'll talk about that later.
Then we finished Secret Levels and caught the airport action thriller Carry On. I got to see Nosferatu, A Complete Unknown, and Squid Game Season 2 a bit early. And Lachlan caught Brothers, rewatched The Witch, Chime, and A Nonsense Christmas with Sabrina Carpenter.
Very important that I caught that last one. And finally, Superman didn't break the internet. The Oscar Shortlists came out. Bluey will definitely be destroying the box office come 2027, and I didn't realize how busy Alex Garland has been and working his ass off. More about that later on as well.
But let's get into the show. We are professionals.
This is a professional podcast.
Yes. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Hello there. Which actually,
Did you
this
get
is
me
gonna
a hat
be
as
bit,
well?
Yes.
So I've got Dunecam. It's just a camera with my Dune steelbook.
All right, welcome back, Lachlan. It's a busy week.
Hello.
Busier than expected
Yep.
for news. If you are not familiar
Yes.
and you skipped out on the last two episodes, we are switching
Busy
this whole
for
thing around.
me watching
Yeah.
things as well.
Oh,
Sorry, not to
yeah.
cut you off, but like
No,
I've been
you
watching a
good.
lot of stuff this week.
Yeah, and we got a lot to talk about. So I guess if you're not familiar with the new structure that we got here, we'll kick it off with our main review. So we'll talk about Anora first, then about the stuff that we watched, and get into the news. And we'll also abbreviate it, we condense it down a bit so it's not the trailers at the end. We package it all in one good thing. But there's a lot to get into. I don't know if you don't have any Blu-rays to show us this week, right?
No, I've still got my pile from last week.
Yeah.
But we are recording this before Boxing Day, which is like the big celebration day, at least traditionally in Australia and a lot of
Yeah.
other sort of, I think it's like a Commonwealth thing. The day after Christmas is Boxing Day. It was traditionally like the Black Friday for us, but now Black Friday is more popular, I think, in Australia, so it's not that crazy anymore.
Yeah.
So when that comes out, there'll be DVDs on sale and I'll be going hopefully crazy. There's not a lot that I want to grab, but there are some things that I've been keeping my eye on and just sort of hoping would be on sale. So yeah, but
Yeah.
also I've been wanting to condense down the collection and digitize them because of DVD rot. So
Yeah.
maybe I won't buy anything just yet. Maybe I should invest that money in like a NAS system and all that jazz that I wanted to look at, but maybe I'll be good this year and not buy too much stuff. But there is a Steam sale on, so I might actually end up spending a lot of money right now.
About to say, it was going from the pre-Black Friday sale to the Black Friday sale to the, I guess it's now post-Black Friday sale into the winter sale.
Yeah.
There's never not a sale
Yeah.
on Steam.
No, especially this
but-
time of year.
Yeah, they really want to get you money. But unfortunately not for the new stuff that we'd love to get, which just came out. Just 10% off would be great for like the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle or Black Myth Wukong. I get that in a heartbeat if it was a bit off, but at full price, I'm looking at that. It's like, for a game that's just going to rot in my library and I'll likely open it up in 2029. I don't know if I should get it right now, but
I've got a
just wanna get it.
3-month code for Game Pass that I'm
Right.
just waiting until I'm ready to play Indiana Jones because I've made.
Yeah.
I just spoke about this last week about my backlog. I've got my trial code ready, or not trial code. It's just a code that I've got for 3 months of Game Pass, and when I'm ready to play Indiana Jones, and I think there's some other stuff on there like Stalker 2 and whatnot,
There's so much, yeah.
I'll probably pull the trigger and have a 3-month rush of those games.
Yeah, I unfortunately already used up my free month. I think I got it with like one of the Discord upgrades that you can get at one point, and I tried to see if I have a free month, and then we're like, nope, it's about like 12 or 14 bucks. But it might be worth it if I say, hey, this month I got time to play the Great Circle, and maybe even more. Instead of just paying the $70 that it costs for the full game. Especially with our schedule, it kind of makes sense to maybe say, hey, this is the gaming month, and we do everything else a bit more on the back burner. Do you want to jump straight into Sean Baker's Anora?
I am so ready.
Let's go. I've been waiting to talk to you about this, or with like in depth about this film, since May. It's been so long. But can you tell us, what is Anora all about?
Anora, a young sex worker from Brooklyn, gets her chance at a Cinderella story when she meets and impulsively marries the son of a oligarch. Once the news reaches Russia, her fairy tale is threatened as the parents set out for New York to get the marriage annulled.
Now, with this one out in theaters and also now out on, I don't know if it's still playing in theaters. It's probably still playing in some, but it just out on a whim, they decided to, hey, on December 19th, I believe, or the 18th, is like, hey, movie's out. Movie's out on VOD. One day in advance, they were like telling everyone, it was like, well, we had this plan to cover it like around Boxing Day, right after Christmas, as a bit of a treat. You get to see it in theaters. You didn't get to see it in theaters now. It's out for everyone. You can go see it now. So we'll be talking full on spoilers for this. We've previously covered it out of Gun, out of other festivals. So we're gonna get into this film. It's been received so far like really, really positively. A 4.1 over on Letterboxd, an 8.1 over on IMDb, a 91 on Metacritics on 61 reviews, and a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes of 286 reviews. And it comes in at a runtime of around 2 hours and 20 minutes. Is stateswide distributed by Neon, and I think in some international places, including Switzerland, by Universal. Like we already teased in the start, it premiered at Gun and won the Palme d'Or there, and was made for a $6 million budget. Ended up grossing about $27 million in the theatrical window, and is now out for you to see. And we'll kick it off with you, Lachlan, because I don't know. I know you liked it. I feel like it's hard to go in as a cinephile who enjoys films and then come out of this movie completely hating it or like not connecting with it. I've seen some people not connect with the ending, not really seeing the connection there. But I assume you had a great time with it because this movie is a blast from beginning to end. Maybe there's a bit of a lull in the second half. I didn't even agree with that. I think this movie is great, even from beginning to end. But yeah, what do you think?
I really didn't know what to expect going in, because I heard all the buzz and I knew there was a major like positivity around this film, and you could kind of just see that from the scores we just read out: 4.1 Letterboxd, 8.1 IMDb, 91 Metacritic, 95 Rotten Tomatoes. So you kind of know going into this, it's going to be a certified banger, even if it isn't up your alley. I think the lowest rated score I've got this from anyone that I've got on Letterboxd is a 3.5. At this stage, the lowest rated score is a 3.5. This is pretty much sitting in that 4.5, 5-star category. And I can totally understand why. I have seen Sean Baker films before, Florida Project. I haven't seen Red Rocket. I've seen Moments of Tangerine. He's a talented filmmaker. And I think at the same time, not only is he a talented filmmaker, the whole cast is absolutely talented in this and nail just what these characters needed. The score was fantastic. When there were just like needle drop songs, they were fantastic. Well, not in like the traditional needle sense, but anytime a song came on, I was just like, this is just like perfect. Cinematography was while quite simple, I just think was effective because it wasn't cinematic per se, but it was still absolutely gorgeous to look at. Not cinematic in the sense of, massive widescreen, ultra widescape, things like that, but it nailed every single bit of vibe that it was going for, every single bit of the aesthetic it was going for, and I think that all in all ended up being one of the best movies of the year by far. And whilst there are other movies that I've currently got rated higher, one of the very few movies this year that I immediately wanted to kind of break my rule of giving it a 5-star on the first watch. And that's not something I like to do lightly. This is a film where I honestly fell in love with it. And I know that because I wrote no notes. I wrote nothing down. And when I write nothing down, that means I was absorbed the entire time in the story, in everything this film was presenting to me. And that is a very positive thing for me. Whilst it sucks because I had to kind of be like, fuck, I gotta write down all my thoughts at the end and not in the moment. It meant that this film was engaging enough for me to kind of be drawn into it. And that is everything from Mikey Madison's performance all the way down to sort of Igor in the background. Like I was just watching him the entire time, and I was like, I love you so much. I want you to be nominated for Best Supporting because you are my favorite like character in the background. And it does the humor well. It does the drama well, the emotion. It is such a great film. Such a great film. My review on Letterboxd was, and I quote this, it was, now that's some damn fine cinema. And that is because I think everything here was almost a 10 out of 10 perfect. I understand the sort of the opinions on the ending between Igor and Annie. I totally get that the film doesn't end on a ultimately positive note for Annie, and you feel like she deserves that, and there are glimpses of hope of that, but I don't think that would be true to what this story was trying to, like, this story is kind of set in a reality, is set in a world where this, and it tries to, and it says it in the synopsis there with her Cinderella story, but you have to wake up from that fictional world and see the reality. And I'm glad it didn't end in a way where she sort of made off with billions of dollars and was super, super successful. And I think that's way more engaging as a character for me. So yeah, look, I really enjoyed it. I really, really did. Now, do you want to get into specifics? Do you want to get into some conversational specifics about about the story, about characters, about
I do want to give a quick
stuff? What do you want to talk about?
I do want to, maybe on the technical side, I do want to give another shout out to Sean Baker, who writes his own films. He directs them. He casts them together with his wife, and he also edits them. And I've watched some stuff, see him talk about the film, and essentially he had like an international sale for the film, where they quoted, like, where the agreement was this movie is supposed to be 2 hours and 10 minutes, and he always knew that it's going to be 2 hours and 20 because he was editing it in his mind while he was shooting. And you can really see that, like, he never crafts a dull moment. When the story is slower, there's a reason for it. And the more I think about it, the more it has stayed with me. That kind of arc where it concludes in, at the car there at the end, I think just works even better the more I think about it. As her as a whole character that maybe for some, obviously we're jumping straight to the end, but I feel like it doesn't really matter because this whole movie is ultimately like kind of building to that, but you don't notice it building to it because it's never really building in a sense of like, hey, this is a character arc. It's all happening a bit more in the background, and maybe we don't get to see as much of like Annie's thoughts because she's always putting on some kind of character, but not in a sense of like, this is the real me now, because it's also nuanced and layered. What you typically get from all of Sean Baker's films are these like really, really real feeling layered people. And that is such a refreshing thing when it also is not just like the dull type of film festival movie that tends to feel the same, but no, it has those highs of like that chaos that just reminds you of Uncut Gems' best moments, where they're just like going back and forth, screaming at each other, and it's just so massively entertaining. And I think for a lot of people who then come down to like the second half when they're looking for what's his name? I'm blanking on him. For Ivan, when they're looking for him, it feels like it's not as high such a high intensity as what just came before. But the more I think about it, I think it's pretty close to like a perfect film for me. I really, really love it. If you want to get into specifics, what do you think about, I guess, because the movie clearly is like told in thirds. Like we got the first third that is basically almost, I think, almost up to like the hour mark or like 50 minutes when they're just out and about. Like they meet, they marry, they have fun, they party. Just being a bit of douchebags, just having a good time, and then we bridge over to, hey, this is the real world. We have to live with these repercussions, and it's almost like a 30-minute long scene, where they're just in his house, and then they go look for him, and where we ultimately end up when the parents arrive to the States. But to me, every section had something really good at the core that was entertaining, and it wasn't like in the same vein that we talk about maybe the rise and fall in Scorsese films, where like you live the frugalent lifestyle, you get to be a part of it, and then you like realize there's like, okay, they're actually horrible people, and they come down again. Like it's not just that. There's way more to that. I really like how it's building. I don't know if you have something that you want to jump on, because like that was also pretty general for me. What do you want to talk about?
Well, okay, let's start with the narrative. The introduction of Annie, I think, is
Greatest day.
It's a montage of
Yeah.
of her night, and I think that it is a great introduction of a character because it's her working, and that's how she makes her money. So you can kind of see that she does work hard. She is a hard worker, having a quick smoker, having a conversation, and you can kind of feel the dynamic of the club with particular people being bitchier than others, but you can see that there's sort of a family there, and they all are there to kind of look after each other, and you eventually get this sort of, oh, hang on, there's a bit more to her when she goes home. There's, oh, is it her sister? You get a little bit more to that, and it's slowly, obviously, building these little things about her, and it's not until she kind of cuts that all off, because it's interesting because you feel that cut off straight away, because that's your introduction to this character of she's a stripper, she has this family, and then immediately it's no she doesn't, it's gone. So you feel that cut off like her. And I feel that was very interesting to me, at least, because I was being like, oh, okay, we're getting introduced to this sort of world that she has. And then, no, we're not. It's gone. She kind of cuts it off, leaves the job, yada, yada, yada. So that introduction for me was fantastic, because then you learn a lot more about her, and you get this really, like, real feeling, genuine connection between her and his name, who's not coming to my brain right now.
Yeah, I forgot
Ivan, that's it. You get that connection built because you are going through that same feeling with them. Because at the end of the day, this only takes place over a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks process, like 2 weeks. Like that is ultimately how long this takes. So you are basically experiencing all of the highlights of the start of a relationship, the honeymoon phase, right? And that immediately is going to draw you in. If you are experiencing the honeymoon stage of a relationship and you are seeing all the highlights, because it mostly is highlights, you're going to be engaged with the relationship. Doesn't matter how fucked up it is, right? It doesn't matter who this kid is, where she's come from.
I mean, at the basis of it all, it is still a transaction. So like that cutoff that you describe is such a leap that she ends up making to say, no, this is something beyond a transaction. When it ultimately comes back to, no, for someone who's like has that money, has that sort of power attached to him through his parents, everything is a transaction, and you can just as easily be cut. And that's kind of the connection that ultimately is built with Yura Borisov's like Igor, right? That he has kind of in the background. It's so cleverly told, because I didn't see him as much of a like obviously it was apparent that he's like a central character to this at all, like a core supporting player in the story, but he didn't stand out to me as much when I first watched it, because I was so like mesmerized by Mikey Madison that I really wasn't like I was so focused on her. And I'm really happy that like as many people are focusing on him now and like praising his performance, because I think it really adds to the film quite a bit. But yeah, on the narrative level, right, we moved through that honeymoon phase.
Anora as well, she is ultimately the only woman in this film for a good majority of it. She is surrounded by other women as well. So you feel this isolation for her, because physically she's not going to be able to dominate any of these men until she does, which I think is a fantastic sequence and just makes you fall in love with her more, just like pretending to like, no, I won't run away, and then running away. And by the way, the humor in this film is absolutely spectacular. So for me, the comedy nails it, and that is giving you this, again, this feeling that this is almost like a not a documentary, but these real characters, these real people, because they all are layered and they have flaws, and whether that flaw be something like vulnerability that Anora doesn't really want to demonstrate, right? This connection of, finally I've got I've got this money, I don't have to work for it. That's a vulnerability that she's not willing to say out loud, or whether it be the actual feelings that Igor has towards the whole situation. Like, that's a vulnerability that he holds to himself until the end. There are a lot of vulnerabilities that these characters don't reveal outside because it would make them seem weak. So I love that you can really see that in these characters. You can really feel that with these characters, and I think that that's just a testament to the writing and the performances in this film. I loved every moment of this, every quip, every joke, but like Mickey Mac, she is top tier in this, and I think is my front runner for Best Actress.
Yeah, I think she should be, because I don't see that there might be some people who play real people, like you got Angelina Jolie playing Maria Callas, or like that is on a technical level and impersonation pretty impressive, but as like a character that truly engrossed me in, okay, what's going on in your head? I want to know. I want to see more of you. I want to understand you. I don't think there's anyone else who gripped me as much with what they were doing. And I mean, dude, it goes back to, obviously you have that whole like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and you have a ton of people who kind of break out of that, like Margaret Qualley, Austin Butler, and her. I don't know who else was.
Tarantino knows how to pick him.
And obviously, it's not like they would like pick them off the street and they were like first roles for them, but I think it was for all of them like a breakout role.
Yeah.
And like for example, Margaret Qualley, she had done like, I don't know, like 15 movies before she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but still, there's quite a few in there, and I love her. I don't even want to say like what her specific role is in Scream, like in Scream 5, but she's really, really good in it. Like, she was another standout to me, like such a fun presence in that film. So I think I'm just really curious to what she does next, because obviously you have a great pairing here with Sean Baker, but this has just shown me that yeah, she can do it. She can do it. I'm sold. Yeah. Also, like Sean Baker doing the editing, I think this movie also flows really well, and in that scene where like there's the most comedy, there's a lot of action going on. There's not as many cuts that maybe you'd expect from a scene like this, right? It's not like reaction shot. It does them, but they feel really perfect. They don't feel rehearsed, right? It doesn't feel rehearsed. That's why you brought up maybe like the documentary. Like, there's something real true to this that you kind of feel that is happening. And I don't know how they like how they choreographed or like practice these scenes, but it like that whole thing when I saw it in Gunn, and no one had seen it before, and I was in there, I was hyped for this film, and then it delivered. I was like, yes, this is so great, because like there's a couple of films that were playing in Gunn that really underwhelmed for directors that I had high expectations for, and this one just like exceeded them. And yeah, I was really happy about it, and like to see this in a theater, because you didn't get to see that. I think this is one of those movies that engages everyone as well, because like at one point when the chaos just like happens, like everyone's laughing at one point. It's such a great time.
I think the whole director editor thing is it's not ultimately common. I think one of the most well-known directors for directing and editing, maybe like Kurosawa, is probably one of the very, like, there's not a lot of directors out there that direct and edit a lot of their stuff, and while Kurosawa didn't direct like he did the big ones, he did himself, and there's not a lot of those. I'm pretty sure the Coen brothers like have a big role in the editing process, but there's not a lot of directors out there that direct, and whilst they will be part of the editing process, like any director would be, they don't get the credit for it because they're not doing a ton of work. So for Sean Baker to be directing and then editing it in his head to then go into the editing suite and then make the film, then that is something that you really then get to feel the pacing work, the story flows, because at no point that even though the middle part of this film, like there's a good like 20 minutes dedicated to one scene, I never thought that scene was too long. I thought that scene was at its perfect length. It just felt that this film knew its moment, knew its time, and I feel like that is because you get this unique editor-director writer flow that Sean Baker has luckily been able to have, because again, there's not a lot of people out there that get this kind of control So for me, that is super exciting to see because you can really see those elements shine through because of that. And honestly, this particular film, whilst not seeing Red Rocket, I don't think Red Rocket got the same praise that I think Anora has. I think Anora is probably one of his biggest. I think this is his like biggest moment for his filmography, and I feel like that is wicked because I don't want this to be the peak because I want more films from Sean Baker, and I feel like this is a really important moment for him in not only securing future funding for higher projects, because I've been watching Eggers films, I feel like I can see a very similar trajectory with Robert Eggers because The Witch was his big moment, and then since then he's been able to really lock down a budget bigger and bigger in scale each time. And whilst I don't think Sean Baker would do anything much bigger in scale, I think he's more of a small scale kind of guy than anything else. Like, we're not going to see him fucking direct an MCU movie anytime soon, but I definitely think that this is his moment to lock in some awards, whether it be for the film itself or whether it just be Mickey getting actress nominations, etc., etc.
I mean, director
this
nom
is his moment.
Is quite likely, right?
Oh, for sure. But this is the moment where he's going to start getting funding, at least higher cost funding, because this was made on a $6 million budget?
Yeah, $6 million, yeah.
Yeah, and it's made $27 million at this stage, which is a ka-ching success, and also the amount of awards and praise this film has gotten is also going to add to that success, not just from a monetary standpoint, but just from the amount of talk it's had. So
yeah,
this is Sean Baker's moment. This is his end game. The Russo brothers, like the Russo brothers end game. Let's hope it's not the downfall.
Yeah, I really hope it isn't as well, and he gets to do a lot more. But like he wants to focus on, like, often he describes his casting process as one where it's often praised that he works with a lot of like non-actors. But in Anora, if you look at the cast, there's a couple of them maybe in there, but someone like Yura Borisov, like I've seen him in Compartment Number 6, although I didn't love that film. I think he was really good in it, and he has a lot of like credits to his name. And also led a ton of films. He just kind of brings out the best out of his, like, he's one of the few directors who, like, for example, Florida Project, right? I'm quick to say, hey, the 6-year-old kid who plays your lead essentially in this doesn't work. I think she's pretty good in it. Like, you know, he does that sort of stuff right. So I feel like he comes from a place where he writes with the intention of what works best when he directs it, but also then when he edits it. So he has the full filmmaking process on his mind, and that is something unique and just works really well. And his step up from like being in for the Florida Project in like the gun Fortnite thing that they have, like the section that's happening outside, I think we caught like last year like 1 or 2 of them, to getting like the Palme d'Or at the festival is such a great trajectory for him as a filmmaker. I haven't seen Tangerine. You haven't seen Red Rocket. I haven't seen Tangerine. So we got a bit of homework to do when it comes to Sean Baker, but he's great, and this movie deserves all the praise it's getting. Look, if you look at this, and obviously the discussion around a film culturally often changes when it ends up picking up that Best Picture like award. Like, for example, I think Coda would have been a perfectly fine film that people like a lot, but now that it's won, or similar to that and Nomadland, now that they've won, there's like, okay, well, are they actually that good? Like, here's all the other movies that are that much better. Do you see that same kind of discussion happening if Anora ends up taking home Best Picture?
I don't know. What do you mean? Can you say that question again?
Like, because for me, to phrase it differently, for me, I don't see that same kind of discourse where you scrutinize this project and say like, it's actually not that good. There's so many better films. If this right, it's up to the quality where it's like, yeah, no, we can say Oppenheimer deserved to win Best Picture, right, last year, and no one's really questioning that. I feel like Anora, if it were to pick up, I'm like, yeah, no, that's makes sense.
If Anora was to go home with Best Picture, I don't think anyone would be upset by that. I feel like there are definitely people who haven't seen, because this film is big, right? Like it's up there on lists. But if I just quickly head over to goldderby.com.au and just have a quick little squiz to see what's currently tipped, it is still Anora. You then have The Brutalist, which I have not seen yet, so I cannot comment on that. Conclave, Wicked, Amelia Perez, have not seen it yet. Doom Part 2, Sing Sing. Our Real Pain, Nickel Boys, haven't seen those two. And then you got The Substance at spot 10. For the ones that I have seen, whilst I loved Wicked, I don't think it, like, I praised Wicked, and that is because I was kind of like swept off my feet. I still wrote notes. With Conclave, strong movie, fantastic narrative, fantastic performances. I still wrote notes. Doom Part 2, wrote notes. Even though it's currently listed as my number one movie of the year, I might change it because I wrote notes. Sing Sing. Yeah. I wrote notes. I wrote notes in all these movies.
Yeah.
The note-taking score. I didn't write notes with Anora. I wrote in my book. Anora.
Did you say you almost didn't take any notes for Gladiator 2 as well? That's really high up for you too, right?
Yeah, but I still wrote notes. And I think that was because, one, I was in a Gladiator screening with a lot more people around me, and I didn't want to disturb them. And
also, that's not getting the Best Picture nomination. Gladiator 2 is not in there.
Yeah, it's not getting that. I haven't seen The Brutalist, and I know that it's like really up there between The Brutalist, Anora, Conclave, and Wicked. At this stage, like those are like the four that are like super duper up there with everyone's sort of like predictions from like professional, whatever the fuck it's called. What are they? Experts. Whatever.
Well, I feel like Anora is
it's like the same thing with viewers and editors and users. Like those are highly up there.
I think Anora could be the one that's like one that works for everyone. The Brutalist is for really. I'm a cinephile and I love 3 hours and 20 minutes of like slow moving cinema. That is very different from what he's otherwise get from.
Because you've seen it. Can I ask a question? Because you've seen it.
I almost rewatched it yesterday.
Do you think you don't like it because it's an American story?
I think Americans. Well, I gave it a 7 out of 10. It's not bad. I'm just not saying it's a masterpiece. And I think I like it more on the rewatch.
So many people are rating it super high. You liked it more on the rewatch?
No, I think I will. I ended up skipping out on the rewatch. I watched Nosferatu almost with Universal. They invited me to go to like their little in-house theater that has like 12 seats, but the screen is also as like maybe double the size of my TV screen. It's like for like a 3 hour 20-minute movie. They're doing another one in early January, so we'll get into it once you get to see it at the end of January. And I think, to come back to your point, I think Americans are definitely going to connect with it a bit more. But it's also like a universal story about post-World War II and a kind of collective sentiment of like Brady Corbett kind of taps into something that maybe we don't talk about as much or is not really depicted in movies as much, that sort of time to give us full characters that aren't like entangled in some kind of war or like in like post-war just depression or something like that, like, but a multi-layered story about someone making it and what that all entails, or actually not making it. Like it's not really a like A to B type of plot narrative. It's more really just a character study on a couple different people, and I think I will enjoy it more on the rewatch. One of the things that I liked a bit, didn't love about it, was that it didn't have any subtitles. I do love myself some subtitles because sometimes you could not hear it at all. What is also criminal, I think. No, wait, never mind. I thought The Brutalist wasn't nominated for best score, like shortlisted, but it definitely is. Like the score is incredible in it. But we're still talking about Anora. I think The Brutalist though is the, to me, only other legitimate competitor to Anora once more people get to see it, because I think it releases literally today on the day of recording for a lot of people, and it really is going to make or break if it ends up making a big splash there. But I mean, it's 3 hours and 20 minutes. It's not maybe even 3.5 hours, so it's not that easy to get into. But there's a lot to appreciate. Long story short, from all of our praise, for me, moving it up from a 9 to a 10 out of 10, for you considering giving it a 5-star on the first watch.
I feel like my thoughts were, I should have written my thoughts down. I should have written my thoughts down. I feel like I haven't had enough time to like really condense my thoughts, because I'm still pretty amazed by this movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've been rattling on, but I haven't really made a point that makes sense. So all I want to say right now is it's one of the best movies of the year.
Yeah. Exactly. That's my point as well. It's like one of the films you do definitely have to see. Maybe at a later point, if you end up revisiting it, we can talk a bit more about like the ending and how that impacted you. Because I really loved it that much more on the rewatch of like this story about a character that like it's never as easy as say, okay, again, she went from point A to point B. She's like moved through this and is like has seen her whole life be transactional and then wants to and breaks under that notion of it not being transactional for once. I think yes, that is there, but there's a couple more things in there in that scene that just like work beautifully. It's a blast. It gets a bit emotional towards the end there, and I like it. It's the layers of life. And you are listening to Greatest Days right now, right? Yeah, it's such a banger. I've added that to my playlist because like it's such a I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's a hot like it doesn't feel like a great song, but it works perfectly in the movie.
It works so well.
But it's also so fun to listen to.
It's such a
it's
pop song.
Yeah,
But it works.
exactly like the type of. I mean, it's also weird to have that play in a strip club in a way. Like it feels like it has to be in a mall or somewhere. But yeah, that wraps it up
Sorry,
for our
I should
thoughts
turn it down
on
so I can listen to you.
Anora. No, it's all good because hey, I'll give you my 10 out of 10 rating. To me, this is the best feature
Cool.
film of the year, easily.
Okay, should I just give it
And-
5 stars?
I mean,
Should I give it 5 stars right now?
You will definitely rewatch it. I think in the next like 2 weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if you do that because you have access to it now digitally. Because I think I'll rewatch
should
it.
I
I
just
didn't
give
have
it 5
time to
stars?
rewatch it.
Should
Last time I saw it was
just
in
give 5
August.
stars?
I mean, you can. I won't hold you back.
Oh, I'm thinking. Fuck. God damn it.
You could do 4. No, never mind. You don't like going half seas. Look, I think it's a rating on its own that you say. I don't rate it on first watch as a 5-star, and I'm considering it.
Well, you know
though.
what I did as well? You know what I did? I don't usually do this. I also clicked the like button on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
Straight away. When I watched this, I was like, yep, 4.5 stars and liked. But you know what? I'm giving it 5 stars because I'm
Let's
listening to the
go.
fucking Greatest Day right now. And I'm like, I'm breaking my rule. I'm listening to this really poppy, overly pop songy. And I'm just, yeah, this is going good. Yeah, man. Giving it 5 stars. And I watched it once.
Mhm.
I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I mean the only reason I didn't give it 5 stars was also because it was the first watch out of
Broke my rule. Broke the rule.
out of Cannes. Yeah, exactly. And,
Rules
I
are
mean,
meant to be broken.
every rule is broken at one point, likely, and every movie has to end at one point. But if you want to keep going and not just replay the film, then Lachlan, what would you pair up with Anora?
All right, you're gonna hate me.
It's gonna go
So
something really
double
stupid,
feature pick.
silly.
yeah, you're gonna love this. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, what should I pick as my double feature? And Kevin was here, and I just want to shout out Kevin's suggestion because I think Kevin made a great suggestion, which was worst person in the world, and I think that was like a great little double feature pick. But I think mine is better because I thought, well, I want to think about people who fall in love when they really shouldn't, and there
13
is something
going 30.
about Ivan and Annie where while it looks like they're good for each other, they're really eating each other up inside. They really definitely aren't fantastic for each other.
Okay.
And I thought Anora and I thought gnawing on something, eating each other up, bones and
meant to
all.
be. Okay. I was about to say if he says like something grotesque, like, but Bones and All isn't a bad pick.
That's not a bad pick.
I like it. I thought you were
I don't
going to
remember
like get
writing
something
notes for bones and all.
disgusting and like the stretch of like making sense would just like break 20 times until you get there. But I'm glad Bones and All is actually a pretty good pick. I'm going with something that's equally intense in probably the whole runtime, but especially in like the second half of the film. And that is Adam Sandler's Oscar snub role in Uncut Gems. Hopefully we won't get the same with Mikey Madison. I think she is very likely to get nominated. She's also a frontrunner to win. So that's great. But Uncut Gems has Adam Sandler's likely best performance in it. Yeah, those are double feature picks. Now, Lachlan, we've been busy this week, so let's get to what we've been watching. Okay, well, first up, we are continuing on our review of Secret Level. We covered the first 8 episodes last week, and I gotta say, I had hopes for some of the episodes of the second half. Like, we had Spelunky yet to go, we had Mega Man. Those ended up being some of the worst of that second half,
Trash.
Unfortunately. It's been renewed for a second season, so hey, I guess that's happening. Lachlan, I assume nothing is going to top episode 5, Warhammer 40,000 and They Shall Know No Fear for you, right? Or was there what was the stand-up for
Honor of Kings? Honor of Kings got pretty damn close.
Yeah,
I really
same. I think that was
enjoyed
the best one.
that. I think that it was, and here's the thing, right? I know that these are anthology series. They definitely are doing. They're definitely trying to be the YouTube Shorts or the TikToks of the streaming services, and they are just trying to be quick consumption and not much substance. And you know what sucks is that there is genuinely good content on some of these social media platforms, but the rest of it is just weighing it all down. And that is the Warhammer episode, that is the Warhammer episode, first season, the first half of the season, I should say.
Yeah.
The Armor Core one was wicked as well, and then this one, I really think that the Honor of Kings, the Way of All Things episode was fantastic. I think that it was
such
pretty
visually stunning. You know, it had a lot to offer.
Yeah,
it was so fun just.
But
to
also
watch.
narratively, it first of all, it had a fucking story.
Yeah, there was something.
It wasn't just the rest of these are just scenes. The rest of these are just.
The Mega Man was
scenes.
the worst one. It had 2 scenes.
Oh my god,
and it was 4
bro.
minutes long or something like that. It's crazy. Like
2. Okay. For me, I got really annoyed at the Spelunky one.
Spelunky was also really bad. Yeah. No, it was so boring.
And even worse was the Sony one, the Playtime fulfillment one, which was just absolutely the worst
so
fucking one out of all of them, in my opinion. I think that even though I really didn't like New World, The Once, and Future King, that PlayStation one was just abysmal.
But didn't you like
the
when
Outer
God
Worlds
of War,
one
when
vibe?
Kratos smashed?
No, because it is just using characters for character's sake. It is just going, hey, look, here's Kratos. Hey, look, here's a Colossi from Shadow of the Colossus, which I fucking love, Shadow of the Colossus. And they are just showing these characters from big IPs, or at least popular IPs, and they're just like, hey, look, here it is. I'm just like, shut up. I don't care. The ones that actually had a narrative, the Armor Core, Honor of Kings, Warhammer, those 3 are some of the best in this entire thing. And they are the ones that go for longer than 4 minutes. 4 minutes is a scene. 4 minutes is 3 scenes.
Look, it was the Mega Man one was so funny because like it was like, oh, don't you trust me? I was like, how do I live up to this? And then like he has a moment of like someone's attacked,
2 seconds later.
And then he changes his mind.
20
Like,
seconds later.
no, actually, we should give you.
Actually,
that is like, there's no progression. There's no choice to be made. There's nothing to be proven. They were just attacked, and there was a like action and reaction. And then we want to get to a moment that's like, oh, that's Mega Man. They weren't as criminal in like as the first half had a lot of moments of. Here's something that happens, like there's some action, and then the big action is teased, and they never actually get there. This one doesn't do that as much, but it still does it. The most criminal thing about the first half was like there was the Pac-Man Circle episode, and it came out before the Game Awards. And at the Game Awards, they just announced a game called Shadow Labyrinth that doesn't have Pac-Man in the title, and it's essentially just a game that was teased in this Pac-Man episode. And we were like, it's so weird, it's so out there for this, and we're like, that's kind of the praise that we had to give. Turns out it was just a tie-in for another Bandai Namco game that they're planning to make, and that was just kind of disappointing. I was like, okay, I guess it's less random. They see this as a promotion machine for, obviously, I think for a game that's really important to promote it is Concord, because, you know.
You know what? The
fine.
Concord one
good.
actually was good. And I think
didn't like the episode, but it looked good.
It added to it.
Yeah.
No, I liked the episode because it
thought
actually
it was
had,
fun.
again, it had a narrative
Yeah,
that
it
was
had a narrative.
longer than a few scenes, and I thought that was exciting. I think that it might have been my second highest rated one in the in
Really?
this second part of the season.
Oh,
It went Honor of Kings, Concord, and then the Exodus one. I thought the Exodus one was also really good with the dad traveling through space, the daughter traveling in through time. That for me was like an engaging one, again, because of the narrative. And those are the episodes that I think are very good. And this is a plead for fucking help, because I'm spoiling the news, but it's been renewed for a second season. All I am asking you is do not make another fucking season of advertisements. I know that that's what this is. It's just a series of advertisements, right? But what you may have not realized is this is a fantastic potential. I said this ages ago. A fantastic potential to show that video games can be adapted for the screen. And all these are right now are glorified cutscenes which you play any turn-based RPG, or you play almost any AAA game recently, and you will notice that the cutscenes are absolutely fantastic. In fact, there was a cutscene of a game that had recently come out, or a trailer for a game that is recently going to be coming out, I should say, The Witcher 4, which, by the way, for something that was only 4 minutes long, did better than any of the fucking episodes that have just come out for Secret Level. And that 4 minutes was because there was something there. And that was exciting. They could have just made that trailer a Secret Level episode, and it would have kind of just fit the rest of them. The ones that have stories are great. Let us have some stories from these worlds. And that's what Concord did. And I think that it was very smart of them to do that. It's unfortunate that Concord just fucking flopped as a game.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like the new Naughty Dog game, Intergalactic, like that sort of little tease, that was clearly an ad. But for some reason, they would have fit into this as well, right? The way that they presented it. And that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing when you narrative, if it is like an ad. So, yeah. Like Honor of Kings, like for some of these, I didn't know what the game behind this is at all. And ends up not... I think one of them... What was it? Honor of Kings is like some... One of them was like
it's a MOBA. Honor of Kings
game.
is a MOBA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A MOBA. No, I thought one of them was like a mobile game as well, but maybe it's...
It is a mobile game. It is a mobile game.
I thought you said
MOBA.
MOBA, not mobile.
No, I did. I said MOBA.
It's a MOBA mobile game.
But it's a mobile game. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that rolls off the tongue.
And then the Sony one is just like stupid fucking whatever it was.
I hate when a story thrusts us into action and it gives us a character, a lead character that we're supposed to follow and that we're supposed to give a shit about. And they have like, they feel like they already have the connection from frame one. I was like, nope, you didn't earn it. And I felt that in some of these that like they built to something, but I never end up caring. Like even for the Exodus Odyssey, I didn't give a shit about all of this, and then they tie it back at the end. I was like, oh, here's all the money I left for a long time, and I'm old. And I was like, some of these feel so badly written that it feels like it went through marketers. In 2024 or 2025, marketers pitches equate basically to AI writing. That's interchangeable at this point. And that's how some of these feel, like pretty soulless promotional campaigns.
And I don't know who to blame. Because
let's just do Amazon. That's fine. I'm fine with that.
Oh, that was the other thing. I realized
The talent behind it isn't bad.
like
right?
Love, Death, Robots is
Yeah.
Netflix, and
Yeah.
this is Amazon. And
But Tim Miller is still attached.
how did
isn't he?
Amazon fuck it so bad?
Yeah, no, that is a good question. Wait, is Tim Miller attached? Yeah, no, he is. He created the series, right? And he wrote one of the episodes. I
Yes.
don't know which one, but
Yes.
yeah.
I want to see
don't
what the most. What's the highest rated on IMDb? I'm just having a quick
know.
look
It's the
now.
Warhammer one.
Warhammer is 8.8. Yeah, Warhammer is at 8.8, and that is the highest. I think the next highest was 8.1, which was the Unreal Tournament, which I don't even think is based on anything. I think the Unreal Tournament is just like a fucking random one.
Yeah.
How funny is that? And then it's just like the first 3 episodes. How is New World up there? Fucking hell. That episode annoyed me.
It's Arnold.
But they
Yeah,
I feel
think
like
as a whole to the
do
series.
I say it? I think it's the biggest flop of the year, and I watched fucking Borderlands.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go that far. I think
I just said
people
it.
didn't have. Okay, well, go with that. I don't think people had that high. Like I was keen for it. We were keen for it, but I don't know how many people actually gave a shit about this and how Amazon saw it as well. I mean, it's crazy because it had the biggest, like the first half had the biggest opening for any animated show on Amazon. But that's also, I don't know, Invincible might be another big animated show. What else do they have? Like they came out, Haspin Hotel, wasn't that like Amazon as well? Like it's not like they have these shows that pull in a ton of people. So with gaming, it does make sense that the animated one I think didn't do crazy numbers, but yeah, just for animation, this doesn't surprise me. That's the biggest thing on Amazon, or maybe if they like made the numbers make sense. If and Invincible, I guess the second season hasn't like done crazy numbers, right? It kind of came and went. Unfortunately, I think it's pretty solid still, but it makes sense that this makes a splash, that it gets renewed. But we just urge them to make it better, make actual stories.
Please,
sir.
please.
Maybe have some more actual story.
Okay, here's what we do. Okay, here's what we're doing. You could do a Helldivers episode. It could just be a montage of Helldivers stuff. That will work. You don't really need a narrative. The fact that like what the Helldivers were saying during the Sony episode was entertaining enough, you can do that. So then what else could we do? Ewan, give me a random game. It can't be Nintendo because Nintendo won't license that shit.
No, I'm thinking. I would love to get Terraria. Maybe even Stardew Valley would work. It doesn't.
That would work,
all,
like a farming.
Yeah, a farming thing, and you tell like some sort of story. You can do that, some kind of hardship thing. Your uncle has given you the farm, and you got to take care of it. Like it doesn't need to be all high octane action or sci-fi. It can be. Give me a Tetris. Give me a Tetris. Bring it back to Pong. Give me
You
like
should
an
have the
arcade
Pac-Man one rocked up.
Yeah, like see something ridiculous.
Wait, they
like
have. It's called Wreck-It
Give me a
Ralph.
world where there's only blocks, and like only blocks exist, and they're like sentient. But it's this like caste system of them being discarded and stacked on top of each other, and you're deleted out of existence when 4 layers are on top of you. Like give me some stupid shit like that. Playing to the premise.
When you were like, "Give me a world of blocks," and I was like, "The Minecraft movie."
Minecraft.
That's coming out. You'll be satisfied then. Trust me.
I'll be so satisfied. I love the Minecraft movie. It was definitely made for my 60-year-old brain. As a whole, I think the series deserves probably like a 4 out of 10, maybe 4.5. Because they are like 1 or 2 good episodes, but to me, most of my ratings were like a 4 out of 10. But yeah, you want
2.5.
2.5
for the inevitable Letterboxd TV score reviewing, which I don't think is coming anytime soon.
Yeah, they teased that like over a year ago, and then it just kind of never.
They teased that ages ago.
Yeah,
I would love to just be able to log all my stuff on Letterboxd. I think that's why I don't watch much TV anymore.
Letterboxd.
I reckon.
Yeah.
I only watch movies because I can log it. It's a psychological thing. I feel like if I could log my TV shows,
I mean, you can on IMDb, but it's not the same like at all. Yeah, I know. I don't do that.
It's not the same.
You did it with the secret level ones, and I didn't even do that. So you did all of the episodes there. So
yeah, I did it because I wanted to get my list of watched things in 2024 to at least 100. So
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I went through Letterboxd to see if there was any other TV shows like that, and I was like, there hasn't been. So I've got to watch another. I think it's like 14 movies to get to 100. So I've got a busy.
Dude, you got 10 days.
11 days ahead of me.
You caught up with something that I don't know if it took the world by storm or if it made like the biggest splash on Netflix, but it definitely was number 1 for a bit, and that is Carry On, with Taron Egerton in the lead role as a TSA agent that gets moved up to do some tasks he usually doesn't. He swaps places with another officer, and then Jason Bateman is in his ear. We're gonna, I think, keep thoughts here spoiler free. I think this was a pretty solid action film that on its first trailer, a teaser trailer, looked decent, and then it roped me in a bit more with the second one. It's like, this actually looks like it can be pretty thrilling, and I think it has some weird bits in there where I'm like, okay, we're breaking the reality here of like what actually makes sense in order to tell the story that they want to. But I was really entertained. I had a good time with this. Did you enjoy it as well?
I think the words entertained is perfect because I was also entertained. And I feel like we all get to the point at the end of the year where we're like, fuck, we watched a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I always want to watch something that is brain dead. And I think that's what this film was for me. I think that I deserve the brain dead entertainment movie, and I think that's what this film was for me. And I had a great time. Not gonna lie, I had fun. I think Jason, what's his name, Jason Bateman, was ideal, perfect in every single way. Maybe a little bit too much voiceover from him. I feel like we could have had a little bit less of that, but
like constant
honestly,
talking.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Just the constant fucking talking.
Yeah.
He was yapping. So for that's okay. But yeah, I had a good time. I liked it. Taron Egerton still felt like a weird pick for this movie. When I was watching, I was like,
really, you think so?
I feel like I mean, again, let the man have fun. Like, let the guy have a fun movie once in a while, and that's what this movie definitely was. I don't think I have much more to say about Carry On. It's definitely a Netflix movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. Again, it does its job with the entertainment level, and like, I'm not interested in the romance really. I mean, look, it comes from the director who made Jungle Cruise, like Nonstop, Black Adam, made a bunch of movies with Liam Neeson. So he falls into the trademarks, sort of typical, stereotypical action bits, and something about the performances to me kind of worked really well. I love to see Danielle Detweiler in something where she's not just like miserable, but she's like just a police officer going after them, and then the push and pull of like the like threading the needle, the string through the needle type of thing, where you got to be precise, but you also like there's action in there, but you got to be careful as well. Like balancing all of that, and then the reveals, the twists, like all of that is just super fun. It's not like it makes any sense or, there's something that it builds towards. It's just thrilling and pretty entertaining. I mean, I gave it a 6 out of 10. It's not like I'm giving it like the highest rating of all, but I like.
Dude, I gave it 3.5. I had fun.
Yeah, me too. But I just can't have fun beyond like a 6 out of 10 because I'm a miserable fuck who enjoys movies that make me cry or cry laughing like Anora. But I think it's pretty. Like I was also considering giving it like a 3.5 out of 5. It's somewhere in between there. But if you're looking for like a solid action film, I think it delivers, and it's a Christmas movie. So yeah. That being said, do you want to move on to some other things that we watched this week?
Sure.
Right.
I'm sitting here eagerly waiting to hear what you say about Nosferatu.
Definitely want to know about Nosferatu, right? It's out in US theaters now. We have to wait. The collective we have to wait to cover it until January 1st. So it's technically a 2025 movie for us, but I guess the States are getting it now, and it's the 4th feature film from Robert Eggers, and remakes pretty close, like stays pretty close to the movie that has come 102 years before. 1922 Nosferatu by what's his name, F.W. Murnau. And Eggers kind of taps into that iconography really successfully, giving it's like its own look that you'd expect from a sort of Eggers film that is set like in I think the 1830s is when the original takes place. I think maybe it's 1860s in this, I don't know, but it takes the same setting. And like the biggest thing that I was concerned about, that I kept telling you, was that Lily Rose Depp might not live up to like the standard of what needs to be, what is asked of like a lead in a Robert Eggers movie. I think she works. She didn't blow me away, but she was pretty good in it. The standout to me, and I think someone who's been underrated for years, and maybe he's had a pretty good year this year, is Nicholas Hoult. I think he really, really nails that. He grounds every scene, is playing the terror perfectly. And then if I wouldn't tell you, then you wouldn't know that Bill Skarsgård is in this film, because you do not see him in Nosferatu. And I'm happy to say that like one of the concerns that you have with these sort of creature movies is, do you see the monster too often? Like, does it ruin the spooks? We do get moments where we see him, but a lot of it is in shadows. Like the lighting is spectacular. I think this is the best shot film of the year. it is incredible in that sense. Like on every technical level, you're like in awe. It's also super tense. It makes you uncomfortable. Have you ever seen the original from 1922?
Yep.
Right? We are kind of film nerds that way. It's kind of an easy starting point to see like, oh, this is what silent film was like. And I love that the beats that the story takes remaining in here while adding some kind of modern twists to it, expanding some of the storylines, giving us a bit more context where you maybe didn't get it as much. I loved Aaron Taylor Johnson and Matt Corrin as a couple, like as supporting players. I think they worked well as like a pushback onto all of this. And then Willem Dafoe, of course. It takes a while until he enters the movie, I'll say that. But he's a highlight as well, just because he just shows up to work and nails every line reading perfectly. He's just that good. I had a great time with Nosferatu. I gotta say, I did have a bit higher expectations for it. I thought it would be enamored in the world from beginning to end. And I did have a couple of moments where it like lulled for me. I was like, okay, well, this is not the best Robert Eggers movie that he's made so far. And I compared it to the original, and I was just like, by that, like the leaps that it took for filmmaking of what I understood, like in the 1920s, that was just mesmerizing. I think for a lot of people, they definitely enjoyed this more than the original, but I'm one of the few ones gonna go like, well, I actually liked the movie from 1922 a bit more than this. But they're both excellent. Don't expect them to pull up, to like roll up to any of the awards, maybe in cinematography, but hopefully Robert Eggers carries enough weight for a lot of people to go check this out. It's one of the best horror films of the year, and Lachlan, you couldn't be more keen, right?
I'm very keen.
Yeah.
Very keen.
That's Nosferatu. Quick one for Squid Game Season 2. I can't talk about it yet because the review embargo doesn't lift until like the actual day it comes out. But there's a feature embargo, and as someone who's a bit silly-head, a bit of a dummy, I don't know what the difference is, to be honest. Obviously, I can't maybe give you my score or obviously reveal plot details. That would be stupid. But I think what I can say is that there's a Season 3 coming for sure. It's a return to form, I think, for Squid Game. I think that it's going to tap into what the first one did so well. They obviously are needing a way for him to be back in the games, and it kind of makes sense, I think, overall to me. And so far, the way that they switched it up, the new things in there are entertaining enough. And I had a pretty good time with the second season. I do have to say that I was a bit surprised that after 7 episodes it was done, because it didn't feel like it ended. That's why I'm saying definitely a season 3 coming, because yeah, there's more to tell in this, but we might have a spoiler review around the new year for this, but it depends on how much interest I can garner from either you or Kevin. But I think it's not on the priority list, but it's a pretty solid return for Netflix, and I'm definitely going to have like another huge peak for them around the holidays. A lot of people will catch up with season 2. And then yeah, lastly, Lachlan, what was the last music biopic that you would say was actually really good that you've seen? Not one comes to mind, right? It's not like, oh yeah, that's a really good one. It's rare.
The last.
Do you like Rocket Man? Rocket Man?
I liked Rocket Man, but it didn't make me go, wow, that is groundbreaking.
Yeah, and I mean, James Mangold.
I don't know. Come back to me. I'm
Okay.
going to go through my letterbox list.
James Mangold, is not one that has lived up to, all of our expectations recently. I think we were both quite let down by Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
I don't think that's his fault.
Yeah, I don't think that's his fault either. Here you are given a movie, though, that is very much like limited by the same constraints of you got a real person. How do you adapt it to not piss off Bob Dylan or the estate of him? He's not dead, but you could piss off a lot of people by doing that incorrectly. You got Timothée Chalamet as the lead role here. I was like, you're looking at that, I was like, huh? Bob Dylan, Timothée Chalamet is okay. I don't see that. Like, one of them has a deep voice, the other one's, I wouldn't say has a deep voice. Timothée Chalamet is really good in this role. I think he does his best and is actually, like, because he is incredibly talented, is really great. To me, the actual standout was Edward Norton. I think he often, I don't know what his last role was, where I was like, damn, okay, that is super impressive. What are you doing here? Like, you get to show
Hulk.
off all of your acting chops. Obviously, when he raged as Hulk, yeah, of course. Or his sausage party. But he gets to do a bit more here. Like, his character is clearly a supporting cast member, but he adds a lot of depth to like Pete Seeger. There's also Al Fanning in it. I think she was all right. Didn't get a lot to do. I think a lot of her bits are kind of repeated. Boyd Holbrook as Johnny Cash sometimes took me out of the movie a bit because he was a bit too over the top. To me, the stand-up was Joan Baez played by Monica Barbaro. I do have to say, I did have a bit of a weakness because she just is stunning in this film. I was like, oh, doing that a bit during the film, but like the singing is beautiful on her end, but also on Timmy's end, because you can clearly hear that he's singing it, and that part is the most impressive thing about this. That obviously if you play it side by side, you're going to hear like, oh, this is night and day. But for a movie, it becomes, because you're crafting something else. You're not depicting reality. You're crafting a new narrative that is based on reality, and I think in that it works. And I was pleasantly surprised by this. I didn't think it was the greatest thing ever, but gave it like a 7 out of 10, 3.5 out of 5. And some Oscar nominations are inbound, and I think all of these I usually tend to do pretty well. One of the main critiques that I also share is that you don't get a ton of insight into Bob Dylan as a person. He still remains an enigma at the end of it. But if you are just here to see Timothée Chalamet perform a bunch of Bob Dylan songs, it's actually a pretty good time. And I kind of went in with those expectations. That's all the stuff that I watched. Although we did both watch The Witch, we do have a separate review for that out that you can go check out in the lead up of Nosferatu. We'll go over all of the films from Robert Eggers, including, not from him, but the F.W. Murnau film from 1922, Nosferatu. So you can do your homework and maybe catch up on that before you get to see Robert Eggers Nosferatu. But
Pop star never stopped popping.
that
Was the best.
that was just so long ago. Wasn't that like 2014 or 15?
2016.
2016. Okay.
Last music biopic.
Which not really
yeah.
based on anyone. It's a fictional one. Like that, I would go like Tar is
Shut up,
probably
it's a
the
music
best
biopic.
one.
That's my pick.
Okay. I would go with Tar because
Okay,
that's fictional
so
too.
here we go. My turn now for you to listen to what I've been watching. Yes, I watched The Witch, but that also gave me an opportunity to say, hey, you know what? Why don't I watch the other Egger movies that I haven't seen? And those are Brothers, which was the film he made prior to The Witch that he wasn't able to secure funding. So he made Brothers to get funding. Ewan, have you seen Brothers?
I haven't. I almost
Okay,
did.
cool.
I had it on my radar,
Well,
but
great news, everybody. They're all accessible online somewhere, and that is great because Brother is... And all of these are
it's like a
short,
short,
yeah.
yeah. Dude,
It's
I
like less than
literally
10
have it
minutes.
open in another tab because I wanted to watch it before this week's episode. I didn't get around to it.
So it's very important that you watch Brother or Brothers and you go, right, this movie is very different from the rest of his filmography. It is because the rest of his filmography is dark and scary and creepy and goth, and to secure funding, you really don't want to seem like you're the edgy emo filmmaker guy. So he makes a movie, Brothers, which is not dark, not scary, but just fucked up. And you go, and that's great. And it is honestly 10 minutes of better 10 minutes spent than watching Secret Level. And that is what I love about Brothers, is that it's just two bros hating each other. Yes, you can read my Letterboxd review. You'll kind of get what I mean.
It's pretty good.
Ewan.
The funny thing is, I thought you meant the 2024 movie Brothers when I read it out, which is the one with Josh Brolin and Peter Dinklage.
No, not
but
that.
you watch
Brothers.
Robert Eggers movies. Okay, well, tell me
And
about the
then
other
I
two.
watched his student film, Hansel and Gretel, which is a silent, black and white retelling of Hansel and Gretel. And it's probably his most film student-y-est. And the thing is, what's very important to note about it is that with these next two films, Hansel and Gretel and The Telltale Heart, you can really see what he is trying to do. You can really see the Robert Eggers-ness in them. I quoted John Silver from Treasure Planet in my Hansel and Gretel review. You've got the makings of greatness in you, but you've gotta take the helm and chart your own course. And that is what Eggers did. He had a vision for his films, and he's had that vision, and you can really see it in his early work. There's no dialogue in Hansel and Gretel. It's all silent filmy.
Yeah, German expressionistic,
It's
right?
from 2007, but you can really see his vision. Problem is, it's just very film studenty, so that's fine. Because Telltale Heart is the other one that I watched from him, and it's a solid 3 stars. And I don't think there's any better combination than Edgar Allan Poe and Robert Eggers. I think that those two are perfect for each other, which is why when I saw that he had a Telltale Heart, which is one of my favorite Edgar Allan Poe shorts, that I was super excited because the imagery is fantastic, the psychological stuff is there, which is what Eggers loves to do, and it got me excited. Honestly, it's fine. It's nothing crazy. Once again, it is student film. Like, it is Eggers' really early stuff, and I'm pretty sure that he did not have any of this available to the public until fairly recently.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to look at this, because I'm pretty sure like Scorsese stuff is out there and everything, and you look at them and you go back and you're just like, you can see the makings of greatness in these filmmakers, and you can see where they're coming from, and that is what I really, really like about watching these, is that I can see what he's trying to achieve. Even though he's not there yet, takes a couple of years, perfects his craft, and then goes and makes The Witch and success.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a couple of interviews for preparation of inbound review of The Witch that you can find on the channel. He talked about, like, he didn't name them, but he said, like, oh yeah, he made a couple of short films. The last short film was actually the last one that he did. It's actually the one that first ended up being decent, that he doesn't like now, of course, but he likes to look back on it as like a stepping stone for learning about filmmaking and getting to do, like you said, like The Witch. So it's nice that he also shares this and it doesn't mind them being out there, because it shows kind of his where he came from.
And that wasn't it, because I was just on a short binge this week watching all of those stupid secret level episodes, all of the Robert Eggers shorts that I watched. Another short from Kiyoshi Kurosawa, Chime. I had a spare 45 minutes to spare, and I watched Chime, and I will tell you what, that was a fantastic 45 minutes well spent. I watched it literally just before recording the podcast, and I have to admit, it's on my mind, and I think that it is absolutely stellar filmmaking, and I like it when someone just makes something like that. Like, they're just like, yeah, fuck it, 45 minutes. Yeah,
I mean,
do
he
a
had
short.
3
Let's
movies
do it.
out this year. It's crazy.
Yeah, like, this man's working, and that is stupid crazy. I gave it 4 stars, and that is just absolutely wicked. Just to come out of nowhere, and I just watched it, and honestly, not that many people have seen it. 24,000 people have watched it on Letterboxd, and it's a 3.7 stars, so it is up there. Yeah, dude. I know your review is just what the fuck, and I totally get that, because it. Yeah, what the fuck? And I don't want to say anything because you really shouldn't do any research into it. The only part that I knew was just you spoke positively about it. Kevin spoke positively about it. You guys were both like, yeah, it's good. And I was like, okay, yeah, no worries. I don't know anything about it. And then I watched it, and then I'm sitting there, and then the first thing happens, and I'm like, what? What? And if you watched, if you've been listening for a while, Cloud, which we covered earlier this year, not even that long ago, really, but like that does a similar thing. We're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And like, I guess that is really what he's known for, and Cure is uncomfortable and everything as well, because I feel like this one does the what the fuck really well, but it also does like the scary really well as well, like the uncomfortableness really well. And yeah, I had such a fun time, so 4 stars with that. And then finally, very important that I talk about this in great depth. I put this on.
I'm
going to put it out there. I put this on. A Nonsense Christmas with Sabrina Carpenter. That it was my choice to put it on, and I was the one that put it on, and watched it. Tanika and I watched it together, and all I'm going to say is 3 stars. Okay. I'm the one who put it on.
I haven't seen it.
I'm the one
you put it on
that went to Netflix and went click. That was me.
You're like, this is okay.
3 stars.
Well, did she? Well, I don't really care what you thought of it. What did you think of it?
She loved it. Yeah, it was me and her back and forth. I was like, all right, 3 stars. She's like, 5 stars. I was like, no, 3 stars. She's like, no, 5 stars. And I was like, no, 3 stars. She's She was like, 4? And I was like, no.
She's
3
like,
stars.
she's like pulls up your letterbox and is like hovering over the 5 stars and like, have you ever tried this one?
Yeah. But yeah, it was 50 minutes of just craziness. And to be fair, at the moment, my driving playlist is pretty much just Sabrina, Carpenter, and Chaperone. So
I'm there with
Thanks,
Chaperone.
Tanika.
I
it's a great playlist we share.
That's a.
In
it
my
sounds
driving-
like a fun
my
one.
driving playlist.
I just couldn't get into Sabrina Carpenter's music, and I love my girl pop. Like one of my fucking things for like I had the one that was like the girl pop one that he got on your Spotify Wrapped. So I'm in there. Just
Brat?
not with her. Brat was in the. I think
your
Olivia
Brat
Rodrigo.
summer.
Definitely had my Brat summer. There's some great tracks this year, and a lot of stuff that I still have to catch up on because like a lot of the like year-end best lists, not just for films but also for music, comes out, and like it's crazy how much music you can miss but just like not really listening to new stuff. And I still haven't listened to Chromacopia from Tyler the Creator, like from beginning to end. I've listened to like 2/3 of it, but I do have to like, especially with those that do have a bit of a narrative to themselves. You don't just want to listen to the singles, even though that's like there's a bunch of bangers on there. But yeah, that's all the stuff that we watched this week, right? So let's head on over to some news.
The
news presented to you by our producer, film critic, Belgium guy, overall European festival goer. I don't know what other title he wants, but he got them to me and we are presenting them to you through some headlines. So let's get into it with some general movie news. We are also grouping all of the trailers in here. We'll talk about some of them, but just so we can wrap this up a bit more neatly. We did get a first teaser trailer for James Gunn Superman, and it's currently set to release on July 11th.
The opening film of the Berlinale,
Das Licht.
The Light, shared its first trailer and stars
Lars Eindinger.
It's coming to theaters on March 20.
The festival also revealed the first 12 titles for the Panorama section with new films from Ira Sachs, Denel Cote, and more. And the full program will be announced early January.
The Oscars released its shortlist for 10 more categories, including International Feature, Score, VFX, Documentary, and more. We're going to take a closer look at this at the end of Quick News. The full list of nominees will be revealed on January 17th.
The Electric State got another trailer with Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown in the lead roles, as well as a very extensive cast and voice cast. The film will be out on Netflix on March 14th.
Cate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender star in Black Bag from Steven Soderbergh. It's a thriller about a married intelligent agent, a wife who betrays her country, and a husband whose loyalty to her is tested. The film is out on March 14th.
A24 shares the first trailer for Death of a Unicorn starring Jenna Ortega, Paul Rudd, Will Poulter, and Richard E. Grant. The film centers around a father and daughter who are headed to a weekend getaway with his billionaire boss when the pair strike a unicorn with their car. Complications ensue when the boss realizes that the unicorn gives miraculous benefits. Ari Aster is executive producing, and it comes from the Below the Man Dead and Resurrection writer-director Alex Sharfman and is out in spring 2025.
Is there going to be a Barbie sequel? Well, apparently it's being worked on at Warner Brothers, but both Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach deny it.
Then we got the first trailer for Karate Kid Legends, which sees the world of Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan crossing over. The film will be out in theaters on May 30th.
Alex Garland may have moved away from directing, but his writing work is on full display in 2025 with 28 Years Later and Warfare. Both films have just released their first trailers, and Danny Boyle is returning to direct 28 Years Later, and the Iraq war veteran Ray Mendoza is directing Warfare.
Speaking of 28 Years Later, the sequel to the sequel, The Bone Temple, lands a release date on January 16th, 2026. That is less than a year after the first one is set to premiere on June 20, 2025.
Emerald Fennell's Wuthering Heights is set to release on February 13th, 2026. It stars Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi.
Jonathan Majors' Magazine Dreams lands a spring 2025 release date. Searchlight dropped the film following the star's conviction for assault and harassment, but Briarcliff Entertainment, who also distributed The Apprentice, are bringing the film to theaters on March 21.
Wicked Part 2 No More. Finally, the film has got an official name change of Wicked for Good. ahead of its 2025 release.
Kristen Bell is hosting the SAG Awards she previously hosted in 2018.
Dune Prophecy, the prequel TV show set in the world of Dune, has been renewed for a second season.
We got a new look for Jurassic World Rebirth starring Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, and Mahershala Ali, and the film is out in theaters July 2nd, 2025.
Secret Level, shockingly, has also been renewed for a second season.
Not so shockingly, One Piece has been, not so shockingly, One Piece has wrapped filming its second season, and we can safely say it will get a third one.
And finally, we have some new projects that have been announced. Glenn Powell's erotic thriller Homewreckers has landed at Legendary after a bidding war. The film has a sci-fi twist, and Powell is starring and producing the film. They beat out Lionsgate in the end for the film that sources say it's a mix between a Adrian Lyne and Alex Garland film.
That sounds interesting and also really weird. Neon picks up horror film Brides with Micah Monroe. A married couple travel to a remote Italian villa where the owner, a mysterious count, takes a peculiar interest in the bride.
Colleen Hoover's Reminders of Him lands a director and is set to release Valentine's Day 2026. Reminders of Him centers on Keena Ronan, a troubled young mother who yearns for a shot at redemption in her life after a tragic mistake. The book has sold more than 6 million copies in the United States.
Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse lands director pair Bob Persecki and Justin K. Thompson. Bob was a co-director on the first film, and Justin has worked on the second one.
Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried's The Housemaid is set for a December 25th, 2025 release date. Paul Feig is directing this psychological thriller based on the best-selling novel by Frida McFadden. The Housemaid centers on Millie Sweeney, who lands a job as a housemaid to a wealthy couple Nina Seyfried and Andrew Brandon Skentler before learning that the pair hides dangerous secrets.
Disney and BBC are working on a feature film for Bluey set to release in 2027.
Sonic 4 is going to pull Jim Carrey out of retirement because it's in the works and has been planned for a spring 2027 release date.
Ansel Elgort and Catherine Hardwicke are teaming up for If You Could See Me Now, an adaptation of Cecilia Ahern's novel. The film follows Elizabeth, whose mother disappeared when she was a little girl. On the same night, Ivan arrived, her invisible friend, a boy her age that only she can see, sent to support her during the difficult time. Years later, Ivan and Elizabeth are miraculously reunited, though neither remember the bond they once had. Ivan quickly begins to fall for Elizabeth, unsure why she is able to see him, but something tells Ivan that he must help her once more.
An animated Ghostbuster movie is in the works from Sony Animation and Netflix.
Damien Chazelle is directing an Evel Knievel biopic. Knievel? I don't know if I said that completely wrong. I don't even know who that is. Starring Leonardo DiCaprio. Evel Knievel. Okay, that makes more sense. That rolls off the tongue a bit more. Leonardo DiCaprio is starring in it, and there was also talks about like a prison film that he was doing with Paramount. We don't really know what's going on and what the next Damien Chazelle movie will end up actually being.
Now we got some casting news. Mason Gooding will return for Scream 7, but Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera have left the project.
Dustin Hoffman, Andre Holland, Alison Brie, and Tom Sturridge board the drama The Revisionist. Elise, a successful novelist, does what so many writers do. She manipulates and transforms the people in her life into the characters she needs for her story. As she blurs the line between fiction and reality, her world descends into secrets, lies, and outright betrayal.
Sean Bean, Mackenzie Foy, and Odeya Rush are set to star in Western The Isolated Thief from Old Henry producers. The film is set at the close of the US Civil War as a young woman struggles to conceal the gold she stole from a group of violent outlaws who have seized control of her remote outpost. As the men relentlessly hunt for the treasure, she must outwit and deceive the ruthless bandits at every turn. Amid a deadly winter, survival transforms into a perilous game of cunning and betrayal.
Haley Atwell is reprising her role as Agent Carter in Marvel's Avengers Doomsday.
Owen Wilson is set to star opposite Matt Rife in live nation comedy Rolling Loud. Inspired by a true story, Rolling Loud follows an overprotective father, Wilson, who makes a bold parenting decision when he sneaks his 13-year-old son into the world's largest hip-hop festival, setting off a chaotic adventure with his reckless co-worker, Rife, and an eccentric volunteer as they navigate wild crowds, security, and their own family dynamics.
Anne Hathaway and Dave Bautista are set to star in an untitled wedding sting comedy for Amazon MGM. The story will be about two mismatched partners that are both working undercover for the FBI with radically different styles. They're being forced to pretend to cohabitate. Initially, they detest one another. By the end, they learn to respect each other as the case winds to a close. And that also winds the quick news section to a close. And there's a couple of things that I definitely want to talk about. Lachlan, do you want to start with the trailers, or do you want to start with the Oscar shortlist?
I'll just quickly start with Superman's trailer, because I feel like that trailer...
biggest thing that happened.
Should have broken the internet a little bit more. I feel like it should have been a Kim Kardashian level style of breaking the internet, because I think this is...
Sex tape level, or like what do you...
Whichever one you want to go with, because I feel like this trailer, which I'm currently watching right now in the corner of my screen, it's really good. First and foremost, I don't see where the hate's coming from, because it's definitely going back to that sort of. It's people really liked the Man of Steel adaptation. They really want the gritty comic book stuff. So going back to this sort of, I don't want to say campy, but campy Superman is super exciting for me, because I don't think it's going to lean all the way into that sort of traditional Superman, but it's definitely not going to be in that sort of grounded Man of Steel level. But dude, I'm so keen for this. I'm so keen for Superman.
Look at how the colors pop, right? It's so vibrant. Yeah. It almost has like a look on top of it that is like taking away any sort of deeper contrast or like faded colors. Like even the greens. Like if you look at some of the shots, all of it feels quite saturated to an extent where it does feel very much like a comic book world. But then what stood out to me is like the depth of field, super technical here, doesn't seem to be like the most shallow, right? So something about it is also, when I watched it, it looked like it was a higher frame rate. Like it didn't look like 24, like it looked to me a bit higher. It's probably just like because it's so different and so vibrant that it kind of ticked me off a bit. But a lot of it is really working and getting to the core of, I guess, what many really appreciate about the Superman character, which I think both of us are not really that familiar with, like Superman movies. I think that the last truly great one, not just Man of Steel, because that's like contentious of people like it, people don't like it. I think Superman 2 with Christopher Reeve was the one that like most people say that was the last really good one. I haven't seen any of them. So I have a bit of homework to do before this comes out on July 11th. But I mean, it looked pretty fun. I'm also a fan of Nicholas Hoult. I think he's done great things, and him as Lex Luthor is quite exciting. The only thing that it's like, okay, is that going to work to have the extent of characters in this that it seems to like have? If you get the complexities, it's simple, it's comic book overall, but like the burden of having all this power. With great power comes great responsibility. But then everyone kind of needing you. I think the scene with the boy like pulling up the like little sign for Superman to come help. If that plays into like the story of the film, that like he can't be everywhere all at once. That is such an interesting theme for a hero character that falls short just because he can't do it all. I hope it taps into that. But I'm keen, and I think, like I said, last week already, caught the first couple of episodes of Creatures Commando, watched the latest one, episode 4. They're really good. This is a really good starting off point for this new universe, and I hope they can nail it, because superhero stuff does well at the box office. If it's not, and James Gunn has been one who did good ones. It's not like they succeed, but they're ultimately like bad. Like his Guardian films was definitely like one of the highlights of that. But I'm keen.
Me too. You see the trailer for that? You see the trailer for Warfare? I really fucked with that trailer. I thought that was super hype. And then learning that the director is a Iraq vet is interesting as well. I feel like that's going to be a fantastic take on what's happening there. And also Garland. Man, Garland, he must have been writing Warfare, writing 28 years later.
Both of them.
Writing
Yeah.
At the same time, probably writing like Civil War and directing it, because man, he's a busy boy.
I guess towards the tail end of Civil War, he did have a bit of time outside of promotion to work on his next few things, and they just kind of were shooting at the same time, I assume. And I mean, it doesn't really need. I don't know if it needs him on as a writer, like on the day to day. And I mean, he's a great writer when he worked. Danny Boyle, right?
Yeah.
And just going back to that for 28 years later, and with Warfare, still the pairing with A24 there, but I think it's good. He's a good writer. He'll definitely add to this, and both of those films I'm quite keen for. Actually, like going over the news this week, right? And a ton of these are like concerning. Okay, he has a release date for something that maybe we didn't know yet, right? And they're all locking those in. Seems to me like Valentine's Day next year is going to be Valentine's Day in 2026 is for some reason going to be busy with Emerald Fennell's Wuthering Heights, and there's another film that also is coming out that same day. I don't know if we even brought it up. There was so much. But then also, like, end of the year, right? December next year is also filling up already with a new Avatar film that's supposed to come out. Wicked is supposed to come out maybe in November already, but it's going to fill up quickly. And I think we got an exciting year ahead of us.
That's a great point. I haven't even started thinking about what I'm super keen for next year.
Me neither, because I want to get through
Mickey
this year
17.
first.
Because Mickey 17
no,
is out next year as well.
2027. They're going to tie it in with the number at the end. And it's going to be, hey, the 10th anniversary
right, of course.
of 2017
because
is when
we just talked about Superman, which comes out. We just talked about Wicked for Good that comes out 28 years later. You talked about Avatar. Mickey 17 is coming out. We have Mission Impossible. Ballerina's coming out. We have what else have we got?
There's so much.
Live action How to Train Your Dragon. But there is so much coming out.
Avengers Doomsday is also
of...
next year, by the way.
No, it's
right?
not.
That's 20. Oh no, that's 2026. Sorry.
No, it's not. That's 2026.
Don't
fucking scare me like that.
I just texted.
Scare me like that. I'm a Marvel Cinematic fan, and I can't wait for all these Marvel Cinematic fanboys to switch to DC. Isn't that gonna be fun?
That is going to be quite interesting, yeah. And I think it really kicks up because I think the first 2 months, especially internationally, are going to be catch up from like last year. For some reason, they moved Paddington and Peru to February, but we also got Captain America: Brave New World. The Monkey comes out in February.
You know what? I'm going to put this on my anticipated list. Tron Ares.
Tron Ares, is that next year as well?
I'm keen for that one, dude. For surezies, man. That one, I mean, Final Destination is, I think, tipped to come out
May 16th
next year at this stage.
May 16th.
I think you're probably got that really high up.
The Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible are supposed to come out on the same day, May 23rd. I don't know if either of them
that
is
should
going
be
to
fun.
move.
And then we talked about Electric State, Black Bag, those ones coming out as well. We talked about those in the news. Like, there's a lot of...
June is crazy. June 6th is Ballerina. 13th is Elio, How to Train Your Dragon. 20th is 28 years later and some Warner Bros. Film that they have yet to announce. 27th is F1 and Megan 2.0. And apparently an untitled Sony Marvel live action, which they said that's ending, so that can't be right. Unless it's not like the next, that's just wrong. And then July 2nd, we got Jurassic World Rebirth. Then Superman on the 11th.
Wow.
A Fantastic Four First Steps on July 25th. It's going to be a busy year.
Very busy, yeah. Oh, and Ryan Coogler's next movie, Sinners.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, true. At some point, you just said Ryan. I was thinking Ryan Johnson also, like that rap filming a while ago. So the next Knives Out.
Oh my god, I don't even want to think about next year.
It's going to be a busy year.
There's a new Saw movie, Saw 11.
Michael is coming out next year.
Dude,
yeah, Tron Ares is like October, so that's good.
Crazy.
Now You See Me Free for some reason is getting a remake. Running Man, we get a new Edgar Wright film. Of course, Zootopia 2 and Zootopia 2 is coming out next year. Five Nights at Freddy's. Then Avatar, Fire and Ash.
Coming out next year.
What?
Oh,
which one?
Predator. The Predator Badlands, I think, is like tipped to be next year as
Alien
well.
Earth.
Oh my god.
Series. Yeah.
Oh my god, dude.
It's going to be.
I don't even.
Stacked.
And that's the stuff that's announced. Can you imagine like the thing? You know how like so many things come out like they're like,
yet. Yeah.
And they're like, oh man, Like, oh, dude, like the Anora of like Anora. Like, I heard nothing about it, and then just popped up at Cannes, and it was just like
Materialist.
boom, movie of the year.
Like there's a couple of films that, like, I think Lynn Ramsey has a new film, Jim Jarmusch has a new film. There's a couple of like, it's going to be a good year. I think this year was also good, but I think next year is going to be even better. But I
don't know, man. I think this year was a great movie great year of movies. God, how many
this year was
hours
like a
is
movie.
this recording? We're on the 2 hours of this recording.
Almost, which is,
words again.
you know, yeah,
almost there.
it's around that time.
There's the Greenland sequel. I think there you go. Greenland sequel is meant to be tipped to come out. You saw Greenland, right? A couple years ago.
I did. Gerald Butler one.
Yeah. Sequel to that one. That'd be crazy. Like, yeah, dude, it's a crazy year.
We're gonna do a dedicated video where last week. Sorry, I always say last week when I mean last year. I guess earlier this year when we did an overview. I think Nosferatu was at the very top of my list. I had the Ethan Coen movie, the road trip one, way too high, and apparently that's still getting a sequel. It's crazy, but. Drive Doors is what that one was called. But we'll do like an overview thing once we do know a bit more about what's coming out. But
Paddington in Peru!
I know, that's already out in the UK.
In some places.
Those bastards already got it.
Yeah.
But they pushed it back to February 13th, unfortunately.
Wolfman.
Yeah, that one's earlier in the year. But again.
Companion. That one. That's a good one. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're just listing out movies now.
No, yeah.
God, so many movies.
We're going to do a dedicated thing because this is a bit of a mess of us just discovering, oh my God, next year is going to be fun. Because again, we are trying to lock in unfortunately, I guess, unfortunately, we don't have to see everything by like December 22nd. We do take a couple more weeks for our end of the year. So. Yeah, no, that's what I said earlier. Yeah, Fantastic Four is also
my
out.
God, there's so many movies.
But as we stay here this year still of what's coming out, there's a couple of films that are getting that Oscar nomination, and especially like those shortlisted. There's some of the smaller categories. Obviously, the short films are in there, but you also got the documentaries that had a list of, I believe, 15 movies that are now being considered to be nominated for the final 5. The same goes for the international films. That also, there were 15 movies in there. I think for score, there were 20 that got announced. There's a couple of bigger films that got left out. Original song, sound, visual effects. Those were the ones that got announced. And maybe we can go over them briefly and have a look at maybe what we still want to see, but then also what we already saw and what we can recommend people maybe check out already. So yeah, if you look at the list maybe for documentaries, I'll put it on the screen for you right now so you can see it. I've seen a bunch of these, but I think the front runners are pretty...
I've seen none.
Have you not seen a single one of them? Wait,
I haven't seen a single one.
Well, okay. So I've seen a few. I think for me, Black Box Diary is the one that is my highest rated. Definitely recommend that. Likely to get nominated and also win would be No Other Land. And then Daughters over Netflix is a great one. The Homie I've yet to see, but I've heard great things about that won the documentary prize or one of the prizes at the Berlinale. Will and Harper with, I was about to say Will Arnett, but that's the wrong Will. It's now I'm Will Poulter, Will Smith. What's his fucking name? Will
Ferrell?
Will Ferrell, yeah, thank you. I'm going Ferrell for not.
You're welcome. That. I would like to see the whole Will Smith one.
There's so many Wills. Yeah, no, there's so many. Will I do that? I won't. That's the next Will you get. But yeah, there's a couple of good ones in here. I think The Remarkable Life of Evelyn has a shot of getting in the soundtrack to Coup d'Etat. Again, I think for those, I'll try and see the rest that I haven't yet. But I can't. It's already, like, I think the top 3, Black Box Diaries, No Other Land, and Daughters, are definitely worth checking out. For international film, now, Lachlan, here's something that maybe you've seen. The one, or I'm actually looking for the list, and I don't know if you've seen anything. Never mind.
No, I haven't seen any of these.
No, I know you are really hotly anticipating The Girl with the Needle. Unfortunately, Cloud was submitted for Japan. It got snubbed. I think this definitely is a snub because there's some films that I haven't heard about ever, but they're on here. And some that would leave off. But there's really good films in here. I think The Girl with the Needle, when it comes out next year, that's going to be would be out of all of these probably my pick of what I would go for. Seed of the Sacred Fig is also amazing. Kneecap is fun. Flow for animation will probably be a double nomination, so go give that a try if it's out for you. I know it's out in theaters in some places. Brazilians would kill me if I'm weren't to mention like I'm Still Here. They are definitely campaigning that under every video that also does like Oscar stuff. They're like, hey, have you heard of this film? It's actually like so important, and our review is like by far the most watched video we got on our channel. It's a really good film, a really great film. So I wouldn't be surprised if that gets nominated. But I assume for you it's going to be waiting until January 17th, seeing the final 5 and considering watching those.
Yeah. Just to make it easier for me to have to watch any of these other boring ones.
If that is fair. Emilia Perez is going to pop up everywhere, and I'm going to rewatch it. Maybe I'll see it a bit differently because I still have yet to rewatch it since Gunn. But I didn't like that at all. But it's super popular. The Homie again. How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies has been mentioned a bunch. The Thailand submission. So I'll try and give those a watch before the final nominations come out to give you maybe my opinion on if there was something big that got snubbed. And then, I think the tech stuff, I guess the below the line stuff, makeup and hairstyling, I don't know if we care about it too much, but what is nice to see is that Nosferatu, The Substance, Different Man, The Apprentice as well, Dune 2, like they all get nominated. That's nice to see. But then also for score, there's a couple that don't get in here. Of course, I think to me, the best score of the year still it's between The Brutalists and Challenges for me. I don't know if you have something like present that stood out to you this year, score-wise. Challenges. It took me a second to get there, but Challenges I think was a ton of fun. I would love to see that win. I think there's one or two that I'm blanking on that is missing. Surprising to me is that like Horizon and American Saga Chapter 1 is on here, when it's kind of gone like ice cold when it comes to the announcements of when Chapter 2 is going to release. And the rest I don't think we care too much about. Sound, I was a bit surprised that maybe Challenges didn't get a nomination. Anora, they go usually with a bit more of the blockbuster films. And obviously the same goes for visual effects. I'm a bit surprised to see something like Deadpool and Wolverine in here. Obviously there's a ton of CGI in there, but I don't think it's particularly good CGI. Although no, they do have the scene with the hands that is actually really good. I'm thinking of the oneer that I think was just not good, but that's maybe more of a directing choice than anything else. But again, I don't think I can get your interest into the Oscars. I'm not trying to die on that hill, and also I don't care that much about it. But it's a nice thing to see, like, hey, these are maybe the best international films that are worth considering. Although, like, sometimes a country doesn't nominate the film that is supposed to come up, like India with All We Imagine Is Light. But that's that. Is there any other news things, or are you done for today? Let's wrap it up. That you gotta get off your chest, like some thoughts on.
There was
on something.
No. I want to go watch movies.
Okay, I want to do the same, and also, my cat just took a poop. And it stinks in here now. I gotta go clean that up.
The fuck?
That's what I got it. Well, they
Didn't see that one
obviously
going.
in the litter box. No, it stinks in here, and I'm noticing it, and it's a bit distracting. Because they just got spaded. They just got spayed, and the two brave girls that are quite sad right now. Because it's a hassle. But that's a bit random at the end of news here. But hey, that's what you get. Watching over 2 hours of us yapping. All right, before I can let you go, remain here because I got to tell you about the new releases that are coming out over the Christmas week. Not weekend, but week. We get a bit of an early release, I guess, with holidays coming up. So on December 25th, we are getting Baby Girl, A Complete Unknown, The Fire Inside, as well as Nosferatu, which will be out in Australia and in Switzerland on January 1st or 2nd, or around that time. And we also get the premiere of the Wicked sing-along version. When we criticize people singing along and saying, hey, you can just go to the sing-along screenings, I didn't know that they weren't happening yet. So that's a bit of a oopsie on my end. But hey, now you can go see along without anyone getting mad at you or having a justified reason to do that. But on a limited release, the Italian submissions for the Oscars, the Miglio, is out, as well as the biopic where Robbie Williams is an ape in Better Man. That one expands wide next week. And then the Peculiar Venice premiering documentary 2073 is out. Then out on VOD this week from December 23rd on, we got Bird, the new Andrea Arnold film on Mubi. On December 24th, we are getting Gladiator 2, as well as The Order, Werewolves, and Y2K. Then out on December 26th, we are getting Squid Game Season 2. On the 27th, over on Hulu, we are getting Amy Adams in Night Bitch. And then on New Year's Eve, we are getting A Real Pain, another real Oscar contender that I'd love to chat to you about. But we'll do that, I guess, next year. Then out in Australia, you are getting Sonic Free, Better Man, A Real Pain, Anora, which is already out on VOD, and The Room Next Door. And in Switzerland, we are also getting Sonic Free, as well as Heretic. I don't know. We can't decide on the answer. I think that's what's been happening in Switzerland. That's why it took so long to come out.
Heretic.
They were just debating. Like, okay, what do we do? And here you go. Finally, you're getting it in theaters. We're also getting Enfant Phare and A Memoir of a Snail in theaters. You can catch a full spoiler review for that one on the channel already. And we also got an interview with the director, Adam Elliott. But that brings us to the end of the show. Lachlan, next week, we are likely going to talk about The Order, which is going to be very exciting because that one is out on VOD. Then let us know if there's any other movies that are accessible to us that we should cover. We are considering that maybe we do a double feature there. There's another movie that pops up, but the week after, we are very excited to talk about Robert Eggers Nosferatu. And in the meantime, we got a couple of extra videos going up on the channel with Lion King Revisited from 1994, but also the dreadful remake. We are covering the original Nosferatu films and the Robert Eggers films. And then as we head into next year, you'll get all of our recounts of the best and worst of the year. Looking forward to it. But until then, we gotta go watch some movies, Lachlan. So, gotta sign you off. Goodbye. See you next time.
Bye.
Sayonara.